we're very pleased to welcome John Nelson, Chairman, Lloyds of London, on Power Lunch today. Thank you very much for joining us on NDTV. You're here as a part of the 9th UK-India Economic and Financial Dialogue. So let me get started with that. How do you see, or what do you see as the focal purpose of this current dialogue?
Well, I think that this visit is to do with the so-called EFD, which is the cooperation between the UK and India, particularly on trade, including services. And it's led by the Chancellor of the Exchequer and with his opposite number, Arun Jaitley, the Minister of Finance. From our point of view, Lloyds of London, there are two real purposes here. One is obviously to continue the deepening relationship, trade relationship between India and the UK. And secondly, very importantly, we've been working for many years, Lloyds being the only insurance market in the world, being the global hub for specialist insurance and reinsurance, to operate onshore in India for reinsurance purposes. And this week we are opening, very pleasingly, our hub in India. It's taken many years to achieve this, but the determination of the current Indian administration to liberalize the insurance sector has finally meant that international insurers, and particularly Lloyds, are able to operate onshore.
Okay, so what can we expect from Lloyds of London now that you are onshore?
Yes. If I look at India, India, as you know, is one of the great economies of the world. It's growing faster than any other major economy in the world. It's therefore creating more and more complex risk, particularly business-to-business risk, and obviously in India is subject to catastrophe risk. The insurance penetration in India is exceptionally low. It's half even that of, for example, the Asia-Pacific region. To give you a number, it's about 0.7%. In the rest of the developed world, the norm is just over 6%. So in terms of Lloyds, what Lloyds is aiming to do here is, through the medium of reinsurance, is to stimulate the domestic Indian insurance industry to increase its penetration, both in terms of capacity into the Indian market, but also in terms of the nature of the risk, as the nature of the risk changes. So obviously catastrophe risk, supply chain risk, even cyber risk, which obviously is a big factor for India. And gradually it'll be a long-term process, but is us and with other international reinsurers is to stimulate greater insurance penetration.
Fair enough, but is there anything uniquely challenging about operating in India?
Well, I think that the Indian market has always historically been difficult to operate in, partly because of the difficulties of the depth of the bureaucracy, the time it takes to get change. But we've seen a noticeable increase in the pace over the last few years, particularly post the new administration coming into power. There's a real determination, you can feel it, in terms of wanting to improve the ease of doing business. There's also, I think, though, a recognition that there needs to be even greater liberalisation. So, for example, at the moment, the government has gone some way towards liberalising the reinsurance market, but not all the way. So that if you're an international reinsurer, you are behind in terms of orders of preference the domestic reinsurance industry. Now that, I think, will gradually get changed, will get reformed to create more of a level playing field, and that will be of great benefit to the Indian economy in terms of both its sustainability and stability, but also its growth. Because if you increase insurance penetration, on the research that we've done worldwide, it improves economic growth. I'll give you one number. For every 1% increase in insurance penetration, we've modeled that it results in increased investment, roughly equivalent to 2% of GDP, which is pretty significant.
That's certainly significant. On a slightly different note, I have a very basic understanding of the operating model modernization that is underway at Lloyds of London, but I'm wondering if that modernization initiative opens up further scope for partnership with India.
No, I think that's very fair. I think the insurance industry is going through a seminal change as we speak in terms of its processing and also the way it does business, driven by the fintech revolution, the insurtech revolution, and so on. And Lloyd's, being 328 years old, has got many legacy systems and ways of doing business. So there is a real challenge now for the London insurance market and the worldwide insurance market to modernize the way it does business. And there are two things going on in Lloyd's. One is that we have got our so-called target operating model work going on, which is being done in conjunction with the London market, which is improving the processing using modern technology, and then also using disruptive technology, where I think India will certainly play a role in that, to bypass the traditional systems. And then there are whole ranges of other areas like artificial intelligence and so on, which will come into play in terms of how business, for example, is evaluated and underwritten.
Well, I know that your schedule is very packed, so I'm going to leave it at that. John Nelson, Chairman of Lloyds of London, many thanks for speaking to us here at NDTV.
Pleasure. Thank you.